Welcome back to my house building videos. I am finally ready to put a roof on this house addition. So this roof zip system has been exposed to the elements for about 3 months. They rate this whole system for 180 days, so theoretically it should have some life left in it, but it is kind of wearing out. So one thing is, it's definitely fading, the paint that they put on here. This is a newer panel. I recently put these overhangs on so you could tell it's a little bit darker. So this older stuff is faded. I don't really know how much UV this can take until it starts to degrade. And then this is new tape, and then this is older tape. The tape actually held up a lot better than I thought it would. It seems pretty much as good as it was when I first put it on. Also, after I installed these, I never covered up my nail holes. With this zip system, you are supposed to fill those. You're supposed to put liquid flash in them or tape over those. And I never did that because I knew I was gonna put a roof underlayment over top of this eventually. I probably should have done that right away. So there is 5 or 6 really bad spots like this throughout the whole roof that I gotta peel up before I put the roof on, because some of them are kind of humped up, swollen pretty bad. So I got to tear all those up, but overall it held up pretty well, even though I didn't cover up those nail holes. It did keep all the water out. I didn't have any water coming inside the house for the past 3 months, so the tape and the painted panels does do a good job of that. That's one main reason I went with these zip panels, or the whole system. It is a little more expensive, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to get the roof on right away. So I wanted something a little more durable than just plywood, because I knew it was going to be exposed to the elements for a little while. So I mentioned I'm going to be putting a roofing underlayment on top of these zip panels. It's actually more of a peel and stick ice and water guard. I'm going to cover the entire roof, and I don't think you need that with these zip system panels if you cover up the nail holes and you make it a complete system. I don't think you need to put down a roofing underlayment, but I'm going to anyways because I like doing things overkill, and I didn't cover my nail holes. So I'm pretty much going to do a peel and stick membrane over this entire roof system before I do my roof. So I am going to be putting a standing seam metal roof on here, and I'm also going to insulate the top of my roof. I'm going to have a layer of foam insulation on the roof and then do my metal roof on top of that. And I am going to be doing kind of a non-traditional venting technique. That's why you see the weird gap in my eave overhangs there, and I'll talk about that when I get to it. But I'm going to have venting underneath my metal roof all the way up to the ridge vent. So I'm making this a lot more complicated than your standard roof. It's going to be a lot more involved than just throwing shingles or metal roof panels on top of that roof sheathing. But I really like the idea of insulating on top of the roof deck, so that's one main reason I'm going with this. But the first step is to put my peel and stick roof membrane down, and then I have 2 layers of foam board insulation, and then I have 2 layers of furring strips, and then I'm ready to put my metal panels on. Also, I know this part looks really goofy and unfinished, the part where the old house meets the new house right here, and that's because it is. Eventually, maybe in a year or so, I plan on tearing this whole roof off this old house, and I'm gonna match this gable pitch all the way across. So for now, I'm just putting the metal roof on the addition, and then eventually when I tear off this roof and build this out, I'm gonna match that metal roof across on the old house. But I still haven't really figured out how I'm going to transition that. I'll worry about that when I get to it. And just stay by this corner. snug again? That's it. I'm getting it now. Keep doing that, yeah. I can stay halfway for now. Just stay. Just do a better job, okay? Okay. All right, so that kind of sucked. If you're a roofer, don't look too closely at those. There's a lot of wrinkles. I've never put this stuff down before, but it's pretty tricky to get that lined up, especially on this 812 pitch. But we're gonna do this roof now. This dormer's a 312. We probably should have started on this until we figured out what we were doing. This is gonna be a lot easier to walk on. All your rally, underlayment. Hold on. So we got all that peel and stick down. The next step is going to be putting down some insulation. So I got a bunch of 1-inch insulation board, and I'm going to put this down 2 layers thick. And the reason I didn't just get a 2-inch thick insulation board is because I'm going to stagger my seams on each layer. I heard this stuff can shrink over time, especially being on a roof. I don't know, I guess getting hot. But I'm going to stagger my seams so that could compensate for the possible shrinkage. So those 2 layers of 1-inch insulation board are going to give me about an R12 value on top of the roof deck, and it's going to insulate all the thermal bridging of the wood too. And then inside the house, I'm still going to insulate in between my rafters of the vaulted ceilings. I got all this insulation off a marketplace, and the guy said that they were factory seconds. I don't know exactly what that means. I mean, it kind of seems like they're stored outside. There's some water staining and there's a few imperfections around them, but they seem perfectly fine for this. I paid about half price of normal retail, so it was definitely worth it. Also, this is polyiso, so the foam compound, whatever this is made out of, it's not supposed to absorb water. So that's good for roofs, obviously. The foam shouldn't absorb any water. And of course, it'll shed, water would shed off of this foil face. All right, so this is my plan for the entire roof. I'm gonna do this 16-inch on center grid pattern on top of my insulation. So that's gonna hold the insulation down and then give me something to screw my roof panels to. And then also this is where I'm getting my venting from. So under here, when I do my perforated soffit, the air is gonna be able to come up through this soffit, and it has tons and tons of room to go all the way up to the eave vent. So it's gonna keep the metal roof cooler. And if any condensation or moisture were to get underneath the metal, it's able to drain and air out and not be trapped tight underneath the panels. And obviously I don't need to insulate above my overhangs here where I have these strips of foam. I just found it easier to use that thickness of foam to keep this on the same plane instead of messing around with like 2x4s and ripping plywood. It's just easier to use the foam to keep that all the same dimension. Same thing with these rake overhangs. I of course didn't need to insulate that 16 inches out there, but it's just easier. I waste a little bit of foam, but just keep it running all on the same plane. Probably totally unnecessary to tape these seams, but I've come this far, so why not? So I've got this section all prepped and ready for metal, and we have a few days of no rain. So I'm just gonna start running my metal roof on this section to try to close it off and try to not trap any rain in there if I can help it. So this is a snap lock style standing seam metal roof, and when you put your panels down, you screw it in those holes there, and then the next leading edge on the next panel snaps over that rib and conceals all of your screws. So there's going to be no exposed fasteners.
Is that a haunch?
Gently.
Oh, not even a haunch.
Get one.
plastic coating on.
This side up.
There we go.
Feel it?
It's in now.
Okay, come down slow. Yeah, that's nice.
We need to go in and up the hill. Road, so.
Let me get.
That's
More.
probably good. Maybe one more. Tighten it up a little bit.
I mean, you know, you gotta take in consideration who you're dealing with here.
You want to. Well, that plastic doesn't go on top of here.
Locking it in.
Slide uphill first.
You gotta slide it up.
I'll go down in it.
Got it. Lean it up and try not to let it drag until you're close. Got it? Hold that. Oh, right there. Hold on, Mark.
Okay, holding.
Good.
I'm glad you never went out that man.
I don't think I have a rubber mallet.
Does that happen?
All right, Mark. Hold on. Pull up. Yeah, that's nice. Snap it. Then you slide it back down just enough. Yeah.
Too low for
Finish. Finish up. The ceiling is 8.
Yes, sir.
As far as it's gonna go. You gotta precise.
So it's actually going pretty well once we got it figured out. The snap lock seems to be engaging nice. And then this bottom hem pinches over this drip edge. So it's gonna be a really nice clean look. That's a good profile on how it snaps in, but for some reason right on the ends here, it doesn't look like it's all the way snapped. I don't know why it's doing that, but back further, you can tell that it's locked in, so I don't know. And then these little tabs bend over, cover that hole. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Ready? Here.
flush on the edge, right?
Yeah, on that top drip edge. So this first sheet on the dormer is going to be a ripped sheet, just the way it worked out for my 16-inch ribs to line up. So the way this starter trim is designed, they have a little lip in there if you do it like we're doing it right now with this rip sheet, or how we started down there, we just locked it in, the high rib fits in there nice. But I'm putting some butyl caulk in that gap just in case.
Okay, get into the caulk.
Yeah, do it. Push it. Oh, that's nice. Gotta go uphill a little bit. Overkill.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I pretty much got it. You want to go?
It's all you, Carl. You're in.
Okay, hold up. What's going on here?
So the metal supplier where I got this from had recommended that anything less than a 312 pitch to run some butyl sealant in the female edge of these laps. So this is a 312 on this dormer, so we are running a bead of butyl just in case, so it seals, so the butyl's in between those two layers right there, right on top of it.
Everything comes off right here and it's not in the sun.
Yes. Not sitting on a job frame.
On the box.
I don't love working in it, but I mean, hey. Oh no. Started in the lock. I'm in it.
Mark's gonna hate that.
Don't make a mess. All right, so I'm pretty much done with this half of the roof. I finished getting these last couple sheets on. I got my rake trim on down here and then the rake trim on the dormer. And there was one last rip sheet I needed to put up there. I also got my end wall flashing done and then this whatever side flashing on this lower overhang. But overall, I'm really happy with it. It's got a really nice finish to it. You could tell it's like a really good quality paint. And it's really not too difficult of a roofing system to install. I have a little bit of experience with metal roofs. I haven't done exactly this standing seam style before, but it's not that difficult to figure out. There's a few things you got to learn and pick up on, but I'm really happy the way it's going together. I've got a little more end wall trim to do on this side of the dormer and then like around the chimney, but I'm gonna leave all that for now and try to attack the other side of the roof because the weather is changing quickly. You can see we got some snow. We got like 6 inches of snow a few days ago, and daylight savings time happened, so things are getting harder. It's getting harder to work on this house, so I'm gonna try to attack that other side so I can finish up with this roof. It's actually really nice being able to leave my material on this trailer so I can move it around the house where we're working.
Wait, this one's underneath.
Actually, there was something I.
Ready?
Oh, you're good.
Uphill, slow. Oh,
Hold on, no, come back.
back down. Snap it. Here, you know. Yeah. Yeah, but we're getting a little better up here.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah.
This valley's actually turning out really nice. It almost looks professional. I was a little bit intimidated by these valleys before I started, but it's not really that hard. Actually, the ridge cap is turning out to be way harder than these valleys. So I'm putting these Z pieces in. These are vented. Those have little holes in them, so that's how I'm getting my ridge venting. So all my airflow from my soffit is going to run up under my sheets on top of this insulation in between my grid pattern, and it'll be able to vent, cross over, and vent through those holes. But the ridge cap snaps into those like that on each side, and it's just kind of tricky to get it fit up, especially down there on that really steep pitch.
That's what I mean. You got to reach over.
Push
All right, so I'm kind of done. I finished these valleys. I got this little section, the starter section of gable roof done. I did my ridge caps, and this is how I'm gonna leave it until I eventually tear this whole old roof off and match this new pitch. I'm just gonna temp something in here, maybe some tarps or something, and then when the time comes to finish this roof out, I should be able to just tie into those sheets and continue it along. And as you can see, the weather isn't really on my side anymore, so it's been pretty sucky working in it, but I don't really have a choice. I did get a bunch of rain and snow underneath my roofing, or before I put the roofing on top of my insulation, but that is what's nice about the system I'm doing with this air gap in here. It will be able to drain down and or air dry out up through the soffit vent, so it shouldn't cause a problem. And it's nice that I didn't trap anything underneath the sheets. And this is a pretty good cross section of my complete roof system here. So I have my outer roof metal, I have my air gap, and then 2 layers of 1-inch polyiso insulation, and then my peel and stick ice and water guard that's stuck to the roof decking all the way around. So it's a pretty overbuilt roof system. I kind of have 3 layers of protection there. But I hope I never have to touch this roof again. All that snow is gonna slide off the roof there at any moment now. You pretty much need some kind of snow and ice guards on a metal roof like this. Otherwise, all that snow slides off and it'll rip off my gutters, which I don't have right now. But I'm gonna have gutters at some point, and you don't want that snow when it slides off to rip off those gutters. So I still need to find some kind of snow guard stopper system. I haven't found ones that I like yet, or I don't like the way that they fasten, so I still need to do something like that that keeps that snow from sliding off the roof. So I am gonna end this video here, even though I have a little bit more to do. I do have a little bit more to do. I need to finish these little overhangs above the garage doors. Those are just short little panels. Whoa, quit. Those are just short little panels, like 16 inches long. But the weather, I'm just sick of working in the weather. It's been snowy and rainy and cold and crappy. So hopefully sometime soon I get a couple windows of opportunity to finish those out. But that should be nothing compared to the rest of the roof. They're just little, like that overhang I did below that dormer there. It's the same size overhang. So, but the main part of the roof is done finally. But that's it for this video. It's probably getting pretty long. Thanks for watching, if you're still watching. But I got a lot of stuff coming. I've got garage doors, man doors, most of the windows. I've got a lot of stuff to do. Just kind of depends on weather and my time.